teach with that very interesting discussion about KU Black Blood rugby fraternity, and of course where the team has come and future prospect, and of course very just lengthy discussion, some are personal life stories, and of course even the trajectory, what to expect in the coming years. Remember, the team is celebrating 50 years of existence, and that is quite achievement, 50 years in action, and of course that calls for celebrations for the family, and of course for the fans who love rugby, and of course supporters of KU Black Bloods, and that is quite impressive and a good discussion there. And of course we endeavor to bring you such discussions that are close to you and touches you as a sports enthusiast in various sporting disciplines, be it rugby, football, athletics, talk of hockey, tennis, and anything to do with that. So after that amazing and interesting discussion, now we want to switch gears now to our analysis of the day. Remember, earlier on I promised you that we'll be having a pundit who will be taking us through some of the hot sporting discussions, very interesting events that are happening in the country. Remember, we have a very fresh squad selection, the 36 players who have been selected to represent Harambe Starlets. These are the favorites, the 36 strongmen of Coach Beldin Odemba, even as the team prepare to face Tunisia on the 21st of February 2025 for the first leg of Africa Cup of Nations Women qualifiers. And of course, the second leg will be played on the 25th of the same month in Tunisia. Well, Michael, long time.
It's been a minute.
Umekuaje?
Umekuwa sawa. I'm grateful.
Some insight, nasikia the last time tuliachana mlikuwa na a lot of expectations. I'm talking about you guys as the Reds. Well, are probably close to 1 year down the line. Bado mna dream?
Not really dreaming, eh? I would say we have done better in some ways. When I was here, I think in 2023, I think the first part of the year, we never had an idea of what a silverware is. But ever since, we have won 2 trophies, the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. And I would actually say it is the first time I've experienced it in my team. The last trophy we had won before was the Europa League, and I never had a chance to watch that. However, at the same time, we have been a bit sloppy in terms of the performances. Sometimes the trophies can be misleading because the performances are far from what you see from the top teams like Manchester City. I don't want to include Arsenal in that conversation.
Anyway, talking about performance from top teams, right now we have a team selection. It's a provisional squad for Team Kenya, Harambe Starlets, with a very big assignment ahead. Their first encounter will be against Tunisia, a very strong team when it comes to African football, especially here in Africa. And of course, our ladies will be coming up against the likes of Tunisia. Should they proceed, or should they overcome the magical moments of Tunisia, then they'll be playing in the second round of the qualifiers against the winner between Niger and Gambia. First of all, the 36 players who have been selected to feature in these qualifiers, even though the squad is still provincial. But when we look at the team selection and of course the criteria that Beldin Odemba was using to select these players, do you think probably this is the right move for Kenya? Because you remember, she was saying that part of the reason why she selected a blend of young players is because she wants to build a team not only for today but for future. In 5 years to come, a team that will be competitive. So that was the reason, part of the reason why she thought it was fit to include some of the youngster. Remember, we have even players who participated in the last edition of the World Cup, under 17 World Cup, who have been called to the team.
A very good question. I would say, or I would answer in two ways. The squad, the 36 man squad, I would say it's positive from the point of view of the way the coach is looking at the bigger picture. Because sometimes it's easy to just hope for fast results. And that will be achieved maybe through selecting the cream de la cream, the senior players. But then the very fact that he has looked at the future and included some of the young players from the Vihiga Bullets to you see, the teams in our national women's league, I think from that point of view, it's a positive move. However, out of the 36, I noticed, and everyone can notice, that 11 are earning their maiden call-ups, which to me might mean lack of chemistry, maybe at some point. This is the very first time they will be interacting with the other players. So from that point of view, maybe it could maybe hurt the country. But generally, the call-ups, I can say, in the short term, it can be quite, it can hurt our results, but in the long term, it's a no-brainer. It could work in favor of our country, yes.
And of course, we'll be looking at some of the graphics, and we take a look at some of the players, the new includes, especially the players that who have been called up to this team. And from defenders, of course, we have the likes of Ruth Ingosi, we have Dorcas Shikoba, Benedette Atieno, Elizabeth Oncheka. Then we have Vivian Nasaka, Winkit Kari, then Alice Mideri, Leila Apio. When you look at that list, it's quite a pool of talent to pick from, especially when it comes to the defenders. And just like you said, she has really picked mostly from local players who are playing in the local league. And it goes with the mantra, buy Kenya, build Kenya. It's very important to give the youngsters a chance to compete on that. And we still have, let me just take you through some of the defenders, or I mean some of the players who have been called up, the 36 players. And of course, we can go next to the forwards and bring you up to speed. We have, first of all, we have Mwana Adams. Mwana Adams plays for Kansas in the United States. Now, this is a player who plays for foreign club, but of course, Mwana Halima, we know her caliber, what she brings in the team, and this is a very prolific striker. We remember her during her golden age and the glory that, what really sparked the outside world to actually spot a talent in her. So that is Mwana Halima Adams. She's making the cut for the forward. Then we have another one. We have Elizabeth Mideva. She's from Archbishop Jenga. I believe this is a high schooler. Then we have Teresa Engesha, Rebecca Aquaro. Then we have Violet Nanjala, Elizabeth Wamboi Gentrix Shikangwa. Very big name. Sure. You remember during the first inaugural Africa Cup of Nations, what they did in Egypt. This is where Gentrix from Vihiga, Queens.
True that.
That is when people really remember her from there. Then from there, her career has really been on the upward trajectory. going now to trade her services in the foreign land, and that is quite improvement and achievement that we want to see in our local leagues. And then we have Emily Moranga. That is the forwards, and of course that will be a real headache for Beldin or Demba to choose from this pool of very talented players. And don't forget that we have another, I think, additional players who have been called up, who leads the top scorers in the Kenya Premier League. In the Kenya Premier League, I guess, I believe from a player from that is Bungoma Queens, in that particular order, Catherine Haemba. And of course, we still have Rebecca Okwaro, still in the Kenya Premier League, one of the top scorers. Now you can imagine now the dilemma of choosing who to represent you. Anyway, so that is the forwards. Now let's take a look at the midfielders. From the pool of midfielders, we have the veteran Corazon Aquino, then Cheryl Angach, we have Martha Amnyolet, Lydia Akoth, Fasila Adhiambo, Lavenda Ann Akinyi, then we have Cynthia Shilwatso, a very very talented player there. And those are the midfielders. Then I think we'll be heading now to the goalkeepers. And from the pool of goalkeepers, we have the likes of Anna D. Kundu, that is from Kenya Police Bullets. We have Vivian Shionzo from Kibera Girls Soccer, Lilian Award from Farui Constant in Turkey. Then we have Lavenda Abongo from Kidspeed Queens. Those are goalkeepers who have been called up. Now, remember, the team just need one, at least for starting lineup, and a backup for that. And it will be a very competitive affair there, and of course, really headache for Beldin and Demba. Well, you have seen very experienced, very notable names in the squad, and of course, upcoming some newbies, new names, some that have really made quite improvement and a mark in the local league, all being called up, including top scorers. Well, do you think maybe this time round this is now the real headache, especially when it comes to team selection?
When it comes to team selection, it's all about the manager's decision.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe the decisions she will be making, it's not something that we can all agree to.
Mm-hmm.
Because we see the game from very different perspectives. But the very decision by the coach to include the young players,
mm-hmm.
just to me,
mm-hmm.
it tells me she really has in mind she has an idea of what she wants,
mm-hmm.
and I believe the very team that we'll be seeing against Tunisia in the first match, I believe we will be at home, will be a blend of the two, maybe a few inexperienced players, and of course a mixture with the experienced ones. And it can be a headache not only to the manager but also to the experienced players, because sometimes they can be really impatient with the young players. We have seen it even in football, in the English Premier League, when the young players make rookie mistakes. Mm-hmm. So it could be a headache not only for the manager but also for the experienced players. But mm-hmm. it really needs some patience from both quarters. Mm-hmm. And if that is attained, or if they are able to do that, then I have no doubt.
All right. And actually, it's a moment and opportunity for young players to learn from the experience. Remember, she's building a team for the future.
True.
So probably her projection, maybe it's for today, it's a trial and error. But as time goes by, you're building for a team for the future, and that is quite